Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we have the new Tier VIII Dockyard Premium ship, the 7 Provinces import to review for you guys today. As always, absolutely massive shout out, especially in this case, to the patrons for making this review possible. This ship, of course, is available in the Dockyard event, which either is a decently long grind or a pretty expensive well fest if you want to get this ship right now. Because I am, of course, reviewing it for you guys, the donations from the Patreons made this ship much more affordable to me to be able to get this to review for you guys, so that you guys know if the ship is even worth grinding out all those combat missions in the first place. I am not a CC. I do not get any access to these ships at all before they're released. I have to purchase everything with ad revenue from the channel and funds donated via Patreon. So again, thank you guys whose names should have just popped up on the screen right here a few minutes ago, or well, actually a few seconds ago. But anyway, if you want to donate and support the channel, that's the best place to do it, besides of course just watching the videos. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 7 Provinces, the new Tier 8 Premium Dutch Cruiser. We're going to look at her quirks and features and then take her into battle and give you guys my impressions of the ship so far. So of course this ship is completely unmoduled and uncaptain skilled, so let's go ahead and take a look at her. Well, I don't know much about this ship. I do know that she is a real still ship and she still exists today, and you can potentially go see her in the future because I believe it is the Brazilians that have her now, or Peru? I think. Let me Google that real. No, it's not the 7 Provinces. It is the De Ruyter was the 7 Provinces was purchased by the Peruvian Navy from the Dutch Navy, but unfortunately the 7 Provinces got scrapped in 2000. But the De Ruyter still exists and is being preserved as a museum ship. So you can see the class of ship that this is, but unfortunately she doesn't exist anymore. She was unfortunately scrapped by the Peruvian Navy. So sad as panda. But anyway, so the ship in game, it's a light cruiser, which is interesting because the rest of the Dutch cruisers that we're getting are heavy or even super cruisers. And as always, look at this. The model is beautiful, well done art department. Definitely looks like a much more modern ship. This is one of the more modern ships in the game. It's not the most modern ship because the ship was launched in the 50s, but just outstanding work by the art department as always. Those guys always hit it out of the park, and these 7 Provinces here is no exemption from that. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the ship itself. So armor, this is a Tier 8 cruiser, so we've got a 25mm bow. That's nice. That's very nice, with a 50mm plating right there, 50mm plating right there as well, 25mm upper side armor, 50mm, 75mm belts, yeah, 75mm main belt, upper belt is 50 as well. So, oh, look at that, 75, 60 around the stern. That is freaking nice on a light cruiser. Oh my god, that is wow. However, all of this though, 27mm deck, that's not bad. But 27mm main deck, but man, if you get hit in the waterline right here by anything and your angle, that's just a giant middle finger to that. But at the same time too, that also means if you're showing side, you probably get pinned here quite a bit. Okay. And superstructure is 13, turret front face is 100, side is 50, top is 50, rear is 50 as well. So you look at her citadel, it is, ooh, so this is, hold on, what's going on here? Why is this? So this, according to the game, this is all 30, but you can see right there, there's like, I don't know if it's just my screen or what, but this section in the middle is a lighter yellow than the one around it. Is that where the... That's weird. It looks lighter, but according to the game, it's all 30. And it even looks like that section's like sloped a little bit. That might just be a a modeling issue with the game or something. I don't know. That's weird. Might just be a glitch or a bug. I'm not sure, but according to the game, it's 30. All right, so it's all pretty much below the waterline, just below the waterline too. Even this weird bump here. I don't know what's going on with that. It looks like it's just it looks like it's just a color bug. It looks flat, but then when you look at it from a certain angle, it's sloped. That's weird. That is weird. But on top of that, you got this casemate armor that's 50. Then 25 there, and 20 millimeter deck. And above that, you've got the 27 millimeter deck. All right. Survivability hit points. It gets 33,800 and 19% torpedo damage reduction. Artillery, we have 852 millimeter guns that reload in 6.5 seconds. They have a 180 time of 22.5 meters, 144 maximum dispersion. 11% chance of starting a fire, maximum HE shell damage of 2100, 30 millimeters of HE pin. The AP shell does a maximum damage of 3000, base firing range of 16.1 kilometers, and AP and HE shell velocity of 900 meters a second. That's pretty good. Alright. No torpedoes or anything, just the main battery, so it's definitely an artillery ship. It does get airstrikes. You get 3 attack flights, and there is 6 aircraft in each flight. Aircraft have 1,860 HP, 4 bombs per payload, maximum bomb damage of 5,800, and they can pin 34 millimeters and have a 33% chance of starting a fire with a maximum range of 13 kilometers and has a 65-second reload time. I'm sorry, guys, I don't know what happened there. My recording software just stopped recording for some reason. I apologize for that. But anyway, the AA. So the AA should be pretty good. The Dutch cruisers that we have in game that are World War II era cruisers have really, really, really good AA. And like I was saying, this ship's from the 50s, so it should be no slouch in the AA department. She has a firing range of 6.9 kilometers. She has 8 40mm single Bofors of a 1948 model. Then she gets 8 of the 1950 57mm Bofors. And then the main guns also serve dual purpose as AA. So they do a maximum damage of 417. And the flak does 1,680 with 4 shells in a salvo. And then she gets 50% to priority sector reinforcement. And again, almost a 7-kilometer range. That is quite nice. Maneuverability, max speed 32 knots. Target circle radius of 730 meters. And rotor shift time of 9.1 seconds, which is pretty good. Concealment. Base range is 11.5 kilometers. Detectability from submarines 0 to 11.5 kilometers. Interesting seeing that figure in game right now. Alright, so 11.5 kilometers base concealment. It's not bad, and that's before you throw a captain on here too. So let's go see what's in her gimmick box. Does get a heal, does get engine boost. So it's an 8% engine boost for 120 seconds and reloads in 120 seconds as well. You get 3 base. The heal is 169 HP per second. Active for 28 seconds. Reloads in 40 seconds. That's quite nice. And you get 3 consumables base. And of course, the damage con. And it's a 5-second action time, 60-second reload time. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and module her and captain her out and flag her out as well. And I'll meet you guys right back here. Alrighty, so the module build that I went with main armaments mod 1, engine room protection, aiming systems mod 1, steering gears mod 1, and then concealment. Now I went with the steering gears because the ship does seem to be set up to be a very nice kiting ship with that nice rear stern armor, the wraparound 60mm and 50mm belts. We'll see how that goes. Maybe propulsion might be a bit better choice, but we shall see. And then, of course, concealment, if I didn't say that already. Commander build, I went with my commander from Johan de Witt. So I went with grease the gears, priority target, consumable enhancements, adrenaline rush, superintendent, survivability expert, and then concealment. Now, this probably isn't the ideal build for this ship, but I didn't feel like paying to... Oh, actually, it's free right now, isn't it? Ooh. Yeah, I forgot about that. Or is it free once? Let's see. Oh, it is free. Okay, so we'll probably go with Last Stand, Demolition Expert. I forgot that it was free because of the reset. Superintendent, Survivability Experts, Adrenaline Rush, and then Concealment. And I don't know if I want to take IFHE because that cuts my fire chance down so hard. What shall we go with? That increases my... Oh, yeah, she's right at 150, so she's, 1 millimeter off from not getting the penalty from heavy HE and heavy sap. And we'll go with priority target for now. And Carl's 2 points away, 1 point away from having another 3-point skill. Yes, well, is it free again? It is free. Oh, bless the commander skill changes. Okay, so that's what we're running with now. So now the ship has 37,000 HP. The concealment is now down to 9.3 kilometers, which is going to be very handy when you get up tiered. But unfortunately, the range is still stuck at 16 kilometers. So now we have a 13% chance of causing a fire with Demolition Expert and flags on, and nothing else. Oh, the 180 time. No, because I took that skill off. So the 180 time is still 22 seconds. Yes. Okay. On the ship does not have any ASW equipment apparently, so that's interesting. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take this ship into battle, play her for an hour or so, and meet you guys there with my voiceover first impressions gameplay review of the 7 provinces. Hey guys, voiceover Mountbatten here. So, the 7 provinces. What do you get with this ship? Well, if you go through the dockyard event, either buying your way through or just grinding your way through, you do get a healthy amount of stuff along the way, including a Tier 5 premium ship container, several of the Distant Voyages containers, which I actually managed to get the permanent camouflage, the 3 crown camo for the Oland out of one of those containers, so go figure, finally they drop something when I go through this event. And coal and steel from completing it. You get 1,000 steel for completing it and 10,000 coal, along with premium time, special signal flags, special camouflages, commander XP, free XP, so forth and so on. So you get a decent bit of stuff with the dockyard ship as well, and you can get all of this for pretty much free. You only have to buy 3 phases of the dockyard, so that's roughly 12,000 dubs for a Tier 8 premium ship and all this other stuff that should be up on screen for you guys right now. So, how is the ship? How does she play? Well, she plays pretty interestingly. So she's a light cruiser with pretty darn good armor, actually, which is a blessing and a curse, because while you can angle steeply enough and bounce shells where if you were in any other light cruiser, well, most of the Tier 8 light cruisers, you would probably get pinned, which is very nice to be able to do that. You still have plenty of shots in where if you were in any other Tier 8 light cruiser, you would have simply been overpinned and you get absolutely vibe checked. So the armor is definitely a double-edged sword here. But if you play smart, the 7 Provinces is a very, very, very rewarding cruiser. Her guns are very nice. That 900 meters a second velocity combined with very flat arcs is fantastic, especially for dealing with those pesky DDs. Now, you do only have 8 guns, but with the velocity and the arcs, if you have good aim, you won't have any problem making a DD's life quite miserable. And on top of that, too, with the tankiness of the cruiser, you can play it a little bit closer, which you will have to because of the 16.1 kilometer maximum range with no way to increase it, no spotter planes or anything. So you will have to play this ship quite close, especially in Tier 10 games, quite uncomfortably close. But again, if you can angle the armor correctly, you'll find yourself bouncing quite a few battleship shells, and it's quite funny when that happens too. I was giggling a couple of times when I was playing the ship and I was bouncing, shells from Amagi, North Carolina. Not so much Thunderer, because Thunderer AP, go burr. I mean, it is, of course, 50 millimeter and 60 millimeter plating, but there's still a fair amount of deck space that if the shells hit there, they're going to go through. Now, again, if you can manage to angle and position yourself in such a way that you can guarantee that those shells hit that 50 or 60 millimeter plate, then you're just going to laugh at them as you bounce those shells. But again, as much as that does happen, it happens more often than not that you do eat a pin that you would probably just have an overpin on any other light cruiser. So the armor is a nice change up for the light cruiser formula for this game, but unfortunately with the amount of big guns at higher tier, less is more in this case. But again, if you can make it work, it works really well. It's like with the Odin, how she has that 90 millimeter stern. You can just stick your butt at the enemy and they're not getting through it. Same here because it's 60 millimeters. And again, we don't have anything that can overmatch 60 millimeters in the game. Yet, at least. So, guns are good. Armor is double-edged sword. The airstrike consumable, she has a bit of a different one. I didn't notice this. I'm not sure if they mentioned it in the dev blog or anything. It's not like the Tier 9 Johann de Witt where you have a nice wide area. It's very small and compressed. So it's better for striking ships like cruisers and smaller battleships and maybe DDs if they're sitting completely still. But it's also worse because you're coating a much smaller area. But again, if you can get in a situation where maybe there's a cruiser that beached, you can call your airstrike in on them and it'll hit a lot more than with the like the Johann de Witt where it carpets just such a large area. It's a small area, very focused area, so that's useful in some cases. The AA, like we mentioned in port, good AA. It's Dutch ships. The Dutch ship seems to have pretty decent AA. No exceptions here for the 7 provinces, although I didn't run to a carrier game in the 5 or so matches I played with the 7 provinces, but anytime a spotter or a fighter from a ship just wandered into my AA, it just got dusted in a few seconds. Maneuverability, this is where things get not so great. So the ship has a maximum speed of, without the engine boost, of 33.6 knots, and with the rudder module I have a 7.3 second rudder shift time. And with that, the ship still feels really sluggish, in my opinion, especially for a light cruiser. Now, when you've got the engine boost going and you have the rudder module on, it feels okay. But when the engine boost isn't running, even with the rudder module, the ship feels so freaking just lethargic and slow. And the turret's 180 time is 22 seconds, which isn't especially quick for light cruisers either, so the turrets feel slow, but they can 360, so there is that. You definitely have that going for you. The turrets, all 4 of them can 360, so that's pretty nice, but the ship feels sluggish. But I mean, with as well armored as the rear half of this ship is, it's understandable. I mean, you even got a little bit of a cheek on the front of your ship too, and it's definitely not like a battleship. It just feels like it's a much larger, much heavier cruiser than other light cruisers that I've played at Tier 8. So there's that. But again, if you're paying attention and putting yourself in the right situation, you can, of course, make this work. Concealment, 9.3 kilometer concealment is very nice, especially when you get up tier to Tier 10. Having that good concealment and be able to just leave a fight if you don't want to be in it is very, very nice. So overall, the 7 provinces, how'd I do on her? So in the matches that I played, when the matches lasted more than like 10 minutes, I was doing decent in terms of damage. You're watching my best damage game right here, and what was also the best game of the night, a good long match that didn't end too quickly, that went almost the full time, and I did 122,000 damage, I believe, in this match alone, which is very good. But how'd she do the rest of the night? Well, with the build that I have on her, which is of course a fire starter build, you have to start fires to get damage over time. And the ship is very good at starting fires. The shells are nice and accurate, and again with that good velocity and that good shell arcs, you can definitely hit the target if you have good aim. And since you can only pin 30 millimeters of armor with this setup, if you know the ship you're shooting at, you know where to aim, you can definitely make the shells go there, so you can definitely get pins and start fires quite easily. That being said, too, there's no torpedoes, there's no hydro, there's no radar, there's nothing in this ship's toolkit that lets you have any amount of area deniability. You can't throw torps down a channel. You can't. I mean, you got the airstrike, but that only does so much. You can't radar and you can't hydro, which of course means there's no area deniability, and you have to rely on your team to do the spotting. And with some ways that the higher tier matches are going, quite often now your DDs are dead in the first couple of minutes. That kind of sucks. Now you're a Tier 8 cruiser in probably a Tier 9 or Tier 10 game where you don't have any spotting going on and you have a 16.1 kilometer range. Now you are sneaky and you can potentially spot for yourself, but the second you fire, all guns are going to be on you. And yes, your armor is good and you can angle it, but you can only angle to so many ships, especially when you're getting flanked. But because of things like that and some of the blow-up matches, I had a kind of a low average damage in this ship, but it didn't feel like it was the ship's fault. The matches were just ending so fast, and the matches were so one-sided. I just didn't have time to do damage. So I had about 60,000 average damage over the 5 games that I had with the ship. Again, the match you're watching right now gives the ship time to do its thing, and it gives you time to do your thing as well, especially with the build I have here. Now, if I went with IFHE, sure, I'd be able to pin 32 quite easily, but then you're cutting that 13% fire chance down to 6 or 7%, which is quite bad. And a 13% fire chance on guns that reload in 6.5 seconds, guys. That's pretty darn nice, and they do pin 30 millimeters of armor. So definitely when you're a top tier, yeah, the world's your oyster at that point. You know, of course, except for the Tier 8 BBs. But, I mean, it's good enough in my mind that you don't have to take IFHE to do good. It's just getting a match that lasts long enough to where you can fully, run your course and such. But that a lot of ships are facing that right now, too. And the ship that has no ASW capabilities to speak of at all. No depth charges, no ASW planes either, which is kind of weird because the, I was going to say the Pan-Euro DDs, but again, different line now, so I can't go there because the Pan-Euro DDs are so good. If the ship was in the Pan-Euro line, like I'm sure they were probably originally planning to put it in, it wouldn't really fit in with the traits there. But again, it is a dockyard ship, so it is meant to be a little bit different. So, overall, how do I feel about the 7 provinces? Well, she's a cruiser that's definitely good at farming fires. She's a nice light cruiser, and it's nice that they shook the light cruiser formula up a little bit here, kind of like they did with the Mainz, and gave it a bit of a tankier hull. But with the Mainz, they did tone down some of the armor, but with the 7 provinces, the ship's got some really good armor. And again, if you're in like a one-on-one fight with a battleship, and you can make sure his shells hit those armored plates at the stern of your ship, rather than hitting the upper belt, you can bounce battleship shells in this light cruiser regularly. However, of course, it's getting those shells to hit those parts of your ship. There's plenty of your ship that's not coated in 50 and 60 that the battleships can still, of course, hit, and with their RNG, they probably are going to hit it. And from my experience, again, you eat those shells more often than you bounce them, unfortunately, but it can do it. And the guns are nice. The ship itself, it's got a heal, which is a plus for a Tier 8 ship. The engine boost, when that's running, the ship feels decent in terms of maneuverability. But at the end of the day, for most of the time you're going to be playing this ship, it's going to feel like a sluggish ship that feels heavier than it actually is. And it's a good fire starter, but it's heavy, it's sluggish. The AA is good on it too. It's got the airstrike consumable that you can take advantage of, but like I've said before, the airstrike consumable, unless something's sitting still, it's not really going to connect, or unless they keep selling in a straight line. But this ship feels, in my opinion, pretty darn solid. It's got its ups, it's got its downs, it's not grossly overpowered, and there's really not much gimmick about it. There's no magic consumable. I know you could say the airstrike, but I mean, that's according to Wargaming and armament now. There's nothing really super gimmicky about the ship itself. It's a light cruiser with good armor. You don't have to activate any type of consumable. You don't have to throw a commander on here with all these crazy commander skills to get the most out of the ship. It just feels like a good, solid light cruiser that's tanky. Is it worth the grind? I'd say, yeah. If you want to just grind the directives while you play the game, because again, the directives, they definitely learned their lesson from the frickin' Puerto Rico event. I can tell you that much. The directives are much more doable for the average Joe. You've got 2 patches to get it done as well. So you've got 10 weeks to go through these directives. So it's not hard to do at all. And you can do a lot of these in co-op as well. Like, for example, on the 5th set of directives, one of the things is win 6 battles, and you can do that in co-op. Earn 120,000 commander XP. Might take you a little bit of time, but that's nothing crazy. You can do it in ranked co-op or operations too. Cause 1.9 million HP of damage to ships, again over a period of time, especially if you like playing some good damage farming ships. That's really not that much. 30 set on fire ribbons, bust out your small lens, bust out your Worcester, bust out your Otago, bust out your Atlanta. They're not really hard objectives to do, and you can get this ship for just 12,000 dubs after you grind through all the directives. I think it's worth it. If you're a cruiser player, if you're a battleship player, this is not a battleship, so just don't even look at it. But it's a good solid cruiser in my mind, worth the grind and worth the 12,000 dubs for sure. However, it's not something I'd say drop what you're doing and start grinding the event. It's not that good. It's just solid in my opinion. And a chance for you to get a pretty cheap Tier 8 premium ship on top of all the other things that you can get in this event. So, in my mind, good solid ship. If you want to grind it and get it, I think it's worth the time, but you certainly aren't missing out on anything amazing or spectacular if you decide to pass it up. So, just take what you see in this video. If you like what you see in this video, go check out some other reviews. If you like what you see there, I'd say it's worth it for you. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the review of the Tier 8 Dutch Cruiser, the 7 provinces. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 30,000 subs, just past 27,500 a few days ago. Kind of think you guys enough for that. Also, let me know if you guys are planning on picking up the ship in the comments down below. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. I hope to catch you guys in the next one.